12 minutes. That's what I got.
I heard
10. No, I was given 2 already. And this doesn't count. It's not part of the 12 minutes.
You can sing a song.
12 minutes. I have to call my agent, make sure that was in the contract. Okay, in 2010, Bibi Netanyahu at the Young Leadership Conference in Haifa instituted what he called his heritage plan. This is a $600 million plan. I'm supposed to have one of these things and a board like this, and I can walk around and I have my PowerPoint presentation. So I get an extra minute because I'm missing the utensils. Okay, fine. 2010, Netanyahu put together his heritage plan. Who knows about the heritage plan? He said there are 3 things that the future of Israel and the Jewish people are predicated on. The first, we all know, security. If we don't have that, we're in big trouble. The second, we all know, economy. If our economy is not flourishing, we're not going to have much to look forward to. The third thing he says, I'm not going to talk about the first 2. We all know the first 2. I'm going to spend the entire time talking about the third. And that is the most critical piece to the future of the Jewish people. And that is Jewish identity. Not my words, Netanyahu's. $600 million, $200 million of your dollars from the Jewish Agency, from JNF, and many other like organizations in America are contributing to this heritage plan. The heritage plan is going to inculcate, indoctrinate, educate, whichever word you'd like to, whichever flavor works for you, the youth, the next generation of Israel. And we were just visited by a delegation from the Misrad HaDatot, which is the Ministry for Cultural Affairs in Israel, prepared to pump $1 million into our programs here in America because American Jewish identity is critical for the success of Israel and the future of Israel also. If we do not identify, we can give them our dollars, and we can give them our political support. But if we're not giving them our identity support as Jews, they feel that that's a tremendous danger to their success and their future as well. We need to bridge the gap internationally, and the Jewish people need to feel strong about and positive about their identity. That's what we're here to do with our programs on campus, and I'll describe a little bit of what that is. The quote from Netanyahu is powerful. A crisis in values is threatening our collective identity. A new generation takes Israel for granted and is being raised in an environment of cultural shallowness with dwindling knowledge and spirituality. A few years ago I was asked to speak in Adas, Israel for a symposium. In fairness to them, it was an incredibly honest approach. A symposium of why the youth are leaving, let's say, conservative Judaism. And they're either going left or further left or going right or further right. And I was brought in to represent the left. But I put a bait and switch on that. I moved it over to the right. But the truth is, what I said to them was, I said, first of all, I told my wife, if I'm not home in 2 hours, you should call the police. I said, the second thing is you're inviting the wolf into the sheep's pen, because I grew up like this. I grew up in a conservative, I was completely uninterested, but technically that's where I grew up. So I said, really, I'm coming from the left also and from the right, and I'm not here to disparage conservative Judaism. That's not why you brought me in. I'm going to tell you what kids are looking for, why they're coming to me, and what I looked for as well. Okay? And what I explained to them at the end was, if the nobility of conservative Judaism once upon a time was fighting the battles of assimilation that America was presenting, that the world was presenting to the Jewish people X number of years ago, I said, but today you're fighting, they're Don Quixotes, you're fighting windmills. We have to pitch it to the battle that is fighting for the Jewish souls today. And that's what our programs are about. We have, there's a very famous chart. I don't know if you've seen it. It's famous. It should become more famous because this is already 2005. And it's titled, Will Your Grandchildren Be Jewish? Okay? A very famous chart. You can look at, I've had a presentation with it up there. Okay? But basically, I'm not going through who wins out. You know, the ultra-Orthodox Hasidic Haredim, they're like rabbits on this side. They're going to have billions and billions at the bottom. Okay? So I can say that because I'm one. On this side, whatever's saying sect, don't worry about the labels. The point is the intermarriage rate. We don't have to go through the stats, what they are. The danger, and if you look at the DNA behind this chart of why it is that you'll start in the first generation with 100 Jews on a college campus, let's say by the fourth generation you start with 100, somewhere between 7 and 10 left. Okay? And the reason is what we're discussing, Jewish identity. It is not going to be, this conversation is not a conversation about politics, it's not a conversation about economy. It's a conversation about identifying as Jews. That's it. We are a program, we're trying to give Jews, young Jews an appreciation for their heritage, but they should see that their Judaism, their Yiddishkeit is competitive. It's as smart as anything that's being presented out there. It's as stable. We all know it's even more intelligent and it's more stable. And I beg my students, it should be their compass and their reference manual for life, regardless of religiosity. That's something between the person and God. In terms of one's identity, they have to be knowledgeable. They cannot be ignorant. We are not a people. I say that, you know, people, the world's accused us of many things over the years. fifth columnists, they never accuse us of being stupid. Right? We have knowledge, we have wisdom. I tell all my students, pen will teach you how to make a living, it will not teach you how to live it. That's our job. How we get from here to there, from A to Z, what the goal is we're going for, right? That's the goal. That is, I believe, the single most critical component to the future of the Jewish people, and the Israeli Misrad Datot agrees with me. Okay, not just fine. I'll tell you two quick stories, okay? And one will be a piece of Torah, which I think is very thematic for the night. Okay, where am I holding? Where am I?
About 4 minutes.
That was 12 or 10?
I know.
We'll give you 7.
Okay, 7 minutes. You get extra. Now I'm setting you up though. I'm the front guy, right? I got to start. It's always harder because you have to loosen up the crowd for the actors. Okay. I used to spend time in a said profession once upon a time in a previous incarnation, except I was West Coast. She's East Coast. I was West Coast. Same type of Tinseltown feel to it. Okay. But you know, I wasn't the actor. Okay? I was behind the scenes. Here's how it goes. There's an incredible story. You have to listen. It's amazing. Okay. There's a story in the Torah about a bad guy named Bilam, big bad Bilam. Okay? And there's another bad guy named Balak. The whole Torah portion is called Balak. But Bilam's really the main guy in there. And Bilam is a mercenary cursor. Not a blinking thing on the screen that I should have had. Not a blinking thing, not a cursor, right? A cursor to lay a curse on the Jewish people. And he comes out and he's hired by Balak, King Balak, hires big bad Bilam to curse the Jewish people. Okay? This is going to finish the Jewish people off if he can lay a curse on the Jewish people. We're not going to get into how you do that because it'd be great people in competitive businesses if you know how to do this. You make millions, right? But this is what Bilam could do. How did he do it? It's incredible. The Talmud says he was able to divine, determine, let's say. He was able to determine the time of day that God is angry. When is God angry? Now, if you and I were writing the Talmud, the very next question would be, what time is that, right? We'd like to know if it's 2:35 p.m. We'd like to cross our T's, dot our I's, be good boys. He's making a list, checking it twice, right? That's what we do, right? We'd be careful to be good boys and girls at that time. That's not what the Talmud asks. The sages don't ask what time of the day. They ask how long. How long? I wonder how long. So the answer the Talmud gives is incredible. Okay? It says this. This is the International Israeli sign for?
Wait
a minute. Which translated to Hebrew means?
Rega.
Rega, nachon. What does rega mean if you translate rega back into English?
Second.
A moment. A moment. Shnia would be second, right? A moment, which is really a messed up modern Hebrewism, because shnia just means a second, like for a second. They got that wrong. It means moment. Rega means wait a moment. It's a guy in Israel telling you wait a moment as he blocks traffic for 5 hours to have a cup of coffee. It goes like this. So wait a moment. What does this moment mean? So the Talmud tells you how long is it? It's a moment. Then the Talmud asks cleverly, because we're not dumb people, it says how long is a moment? And the answer is, of course, 188,888th of an hour. Of course. Okay? That's all the Talmud wants to know. What was Bilam able to do? This is incredible. You're going to love this. What was Bilam able to do? He was able to take this rega. Now, a moment in time is only a moment in time. It's only filling its purpose if it's connecting the previous moment to the coming moment. Because they're a continuum. Something begins and has a goal and has an end. One moment in time is only as a hook to what came before and to bring you to what's coming. What Bilam was able to do to curse the Jewish people was to take the Jewish people and make them exist in one moment in time, divorced from their past and cut off from their mission from the future. If you can isolate the Jewish people to pull them away from their past, that they're not connected to where they come from, 3,500 years of Bubbies and Zadis sacrificing their lives so that you could sit at the University of Pennsylvania or here or wherever we are, if that doesn't exist, Bilam knows we're finished. If we're not connected to the future, the mission of the Jewish people, what we're here to accomplish, Bilam knows we're finished. Now here's the most amazing thing about it. If you do the math, and I'm sure you've done it already, right, because you're smart, 188,888th of an hour will come out to an incredible number. If you go to something called a movie, you will learn very quickly, like there's no big guy in a red coat and all that stuff that comes on your chimney, and there's no tooth fairy. You will also learn that those are pictures flapping in front of your eyes at a rate of 24 frames a second. That means you sit there and laugh and you cry and you sing and you dance with the musicals and you relate to it as if it's real, but it's not real. There are 24 pictures, like the book that used to draw pictures on when the guy ran across. 24 pictures a second flashing in front of your eyes. The Talmud says the building blocks of time are these moments. One moment is 1/24th of a second. It's the same time the Talmud 2,000 years ago tells you what the film rate would be. How many still pictures could I put in front of your eyes that make you think it's real? But it's really the Almighty drawing the pictures behind everything. It's an incredible idea. Bilam's curse was to separate the Jewish people from their past, separate them from the mission. If you can do that, the people are cursed, God forbid. Our job here in this room, my job and what I do every day on university campus, is trying to get this on all the university campus, is to change that. So the kid can grow up, especially in America. If you want to know the particular brand of difficult that we have in America, it's identity. A melting pot means nothing tastes like itself, it all tastes like everything else. My job is to give these kids a sense of where they come from, a sense of belonging, a sense of future. I run trips every year to Poland. Poland is the defibrillator of the soul. It will wake them up and show you come from someplace. And that place is intelligent and deep and wise. It will be your best friend. It will be your best guide through life. At every turn, everywhere you're going to go in life, your best friend and your best guide will be your Judaism. That's really your birthright. But if we don't have a strong identity, if we don't have a strong, clear vision of what that's supposed to be, the paradigm of the mission of where we're going to go, even the Ministry of Cultural Affairs in Israel and Bibi Netanyahu says that we're finished. That's what our sages taught us 2,000 years ago. That's what Big Bad Bilam was out to do, was to cut us off from where we came from. If we don't know where we come from, we're not going to know where we're going. That's the job, is to make that connection, the connection between the previous generations of all the sacrifice, of all the love, all the care and determination for 3,500 years of Jewish history, which is playing its destiny out in each and every Jewish soul. The front lines, the battle lines on the university campuses, that is where all of the enemy power and firepower is being aimed at us. Spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, and identity. That's where it is, I believe. That is where the front line is. That's where we're living and dying. That's where we're saving and losing day in and day out. Thank you for your 13 minutes.